Staying with the summit, President Moon held one-on-one talks with more than half a dozen leaders from the G20. Hwang Oh-jeon gives us a rundown on who the president met and what they talked about.
President Moon Jae-in's dialogues with other heads of state focused on two main objectives: resolving issues related to North Korea and boosting bilateral economic partnerships. His first agenda in Hamburg was the trilateral summit with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts, billed as the Northeast Asia Security Dinner. Presidents Moon and Trump and Prime Minister Abe reaffirmed the importance of cooperation to deter North Korea's threats and agreed to apply maximum pressure on Pyongyang. But at the same time, they agreed to achieve the complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean peninsula peacefully. As an extension of the dinner, President Moon held his first bilateral summit with Prime Minister Abe on Friday morning. They agreed to hold more frequent meetings and to foster a future-oriented relationship, closely cooperating with each other, especially on issues regarding North Korea. Moon also met with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, who reaffirmed Russia's firm decision never to tolerate a nuclear-armed North Korea. Putin also invited Moon to the Eastern Economic Forum, slated to be held in Vladivostok, Russia in September, an invitation Moon accepted. Moon also met with the Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and agreed to expand and cultivate the two countries' economic relations as well as their bilateral trade. On Saturday morning, President Moon held summit talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They agreed to further develop the strategic partnership between Seoul and Delhi, which was first established in 2015. Modi also pledged to continue to take part in international efforts to help Seoul's efforts for peace on the peninsula. During Moon's meeting with his Australian counterpart, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull pledged to cooperate in resolving Pyongyang's nuclear issue and expressed his desire to continue to expand economic cooperation with Seoul as well. Later in the day, President Moon held his first one-on-one with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and agreed to work together to alleviate the tensions in the peninsula. Trudeau said he will join other nations in imposing various sanctions on Pyongyang. President Moon Jae-in then had a one-on-one with French President Emmanuel Macron. Moon and Macron noted that they both started their terms around the same time and agreed to work closely together during their 5 years in office, especially in seeking the fundamental denuclearization of North Korea. Hwang Oh-jeon, Arirang News.